Welcome to my channel. Welcome to my channel. Are you ready to sew? Are you ready to sew? Let's sew. Let's sew some more. 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 You didn't think seeing somebody twerk on their sewing machine was something you were going to see today, right? You're welcome. You're welcome. Hey, what's up everyone? It's Rayvon from Love Lola. Welcome to my channel. So today's video is going to be really fast. So basically I'm making, this is my little pattern. It's called the Essential Wallet. It's a very basic pattern. The Essential Wallet is a whole vibe. I made this a year or so ago when I first started really getting into sewing. And what it was I make a lot of custom bags. When I would make a custom bag for somebody, I would, you have scraps left over. So I would just make this to go with their bag because it was super fast to make, like 15 minutes. And the customers just loved it. So whenever I would post the bags that I would make, I would have this in the picture, and people kept asking me, what is that? What pattern is that? What is that? So I was like, you know what? Let me just put together a little pattern for it. I think I sell it for $1 or $1.50 on my website. It's basically just to help support my channel. But anyway, it's like a 15-minute make. It's super easy. And a couple of weeks ago, I made one, and I added a little slip pocket on the front of it. Right here. And I had some people ask me about it, so I thought, why don't I make a video? And they were asking if you could fit a card in there. And you can't. If you use a magnetic snap, it's right shy of being able to get past that. But if you use, on the first one I did, I used, the little snaps, the little round ones that snap. If you use that on the very end, you can make it fit. But the point is, I decided, why don't I modify this and make it a little bit bigger, so that you can use a magnetic snap and be able to fit some more cards in the front, or just to do it for fun. I like to modify stuff, so I just want to show you how you can modify this and make it just slightly bigger, and then you'll be able to add cards in the front as well as the top. So today usually I put lining in these. Oh, I guess I should have attached this all the way. Usually I put linings in these, but as of late, I haven't been doing that because I'm getting lazier every day. And also because I like the non-bulkiness of it without it having lining, but I'm not in love with seeing the inside of my vinyl. So what I have decided to do was I started using HTV, is that right? Heat transfer vinyl on my inside, and I love it. So that's what we're going to do today. These are all the ones that I made last night before I went to bed. Just playing around because, like I said, they only take a few minutes to make. So I was like, why not play around? The lighting is so bright in here. Why not play around and see how I like these different sizes? These are all the exact same size actually. But I did one with the front with the magnetic snap to see how much space that would leave me and if I needed to adjust it. So yeah, we're going to make one with a modified size, and I'm going to show you exactly how I did it. This one I used HTV transfer on the back. And all you do is apply it with heat. I can't find it right now, but I'll show you later. But anyway, heat transfer comes in a whole bunch of different colors. I like leopard print, so obviously I purchased a package that was leopard print. I will say the leopard print ones, I don't like them for weeding. Like when I tried to weed letters and shapes with it, it wasn't good. I didn't like it at all. You know, sorry. So I use them instead for stuff like this when I have something that I don't want to add a lining to, but I want some color on the inside. Then it's perfect. It gives me no problems. But for weeding, it was just a little too tough. If you use HTV, you know what I'm talking about. Sometimes you have to play around and find the right vinyl. Some of them work really easily, some of them don't. You can get these in every color imaginable. They come in glitter. I use these a lot when I was making masks. I make shirts with these for my baby whenever she has something for school or whatever, and I want to do something special for her, a t-shirt. You can get them in, yeah, any color you're looking for, you'll be able to find them. Oh, here's some pink. And they're permanent. These things, once you get them on, they're not going anywhere, okay? So, yeah, they're a great option to use. Even for this part, I've seen some people not fold it 4 times. They'll just fold it, what am I saying? Oh, I've seen people, instead of folding this 4 times, instead of cutting this 4 inches and then folding it 4 times, you know, to make this, I've seen people cut this 1 inch wide and then place heat transfer on the bottom of it and let that be it. So if you do that though, make sure you interface really, really well. That's the only thing when I saw that, I was like, is that a flimsy? I hate when things are flimsy. I need it to be, but yeah, make sure you interface it. Like for example, these that we're about to make today that I use the HTV on the back, I did interface it with Fuse Plus, my material, before I went and added the HTV because I still wanted to have a good feel to it. And this is, it feels great. Like, it's good. So yeah, you don't skip the interfacing part. What else? I think that's it. So yeah, let's get started. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna go ahead and get started. These are my original ones that I made for reference. They fit a credit card, license, things like that easily, but the one we're making today is going to be bigger because we want a front pocket for everything to fit. The length that you make your wristlet is just personal preference. Anywhere between 12 and like 15, 17 inches is fine. I made mine 13 inches because I don't like when there's too much of this. I like it to fit really, you know, not too big because I wear this all the time when I go out. I'm running errands, and so I don't want it to feel like it can fall off my wrist. So I do about 13 inches, and that works for me. If you like any of the hardware that you see, it is available on my website. This is my favorite little custom-made label that I use on all of my makes. This custom-made label is available as a label like this with prongs. It also comes with a little D-ring to attach to a zipper or just to hang from your bag as well. I decided to make a little heart to match this one because, like I said, I attach my keys and everything to it, and I just think it's super cute. Okay, hardware. Today I'm going to be using these snaps to just snap it closed really easily in the front. If you don't have those, you certainly could use just your traditional magnetic snaps, whatever works for you. I'm using a 1/2 inch D-ring, and that's going to be on the side. And I also have this key fob. This is the tool that we're going to be using to get this installed. And then I'm also going to be using my custom-made label on the front. And I'm going to put mine on I don't know. I think I'm going to put it on the front of my pocket. Either that or on the back. I haven't decided yet. So, for the size, basically, if you have my pattern, what you're going to do is add 1/2 inch to each side. So it's going to be 1 inch wider than it was originally, and then you're going to add 1 inch to the top. I did not interface this piece because it's sturdy enough. I don't feel like it needs any more interfacing on it. It feels good. Depending on your fabric, you may need to interface that. I have interfaced these pieces. Like I said before, I interfaced it with Sofuse Plus, and then I went and added my heat transfer vinyl to it. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and just peel that off. That coating. And we're good to go. Oh, we need a zipper. Duh. Okay, so grab your zipper tape. I've cut it to be the same length as this main panel, but I may trim it down later. Oh, our zipper tab. Okay, so in my original pattern, I had it where our zipper tab, we folded it in half on the zipper and added a stitch so that the edges were exposed. You can definitely do that. If you do that, make sure that you interface this piece. But since then, I've decided I don't really care too much about exposed edges. So I changed that, and now my zipper tab, I'm gonna be making it, I cut it, let's see. I don't wanna lie to you. I cut it 1 3/4 inch. So my zipper tape and also my little piece that's going to be attached to my D-ring, I cut them both 1 3/4 inch long by 1 inch wide, both of them. Okay, so I've got my zipper tape. Let's get our zippers attached. I want my zipper to look a little fancy, so I'm going to pick one of these. I'm not sure yet. I think I like this one for this. Okay, let's get our zipper attached. So what we want to do is just open our zipper a little bit and then cut off about 1/8 of an inch off of one side. And then with the pointed edge facing in, we're just going to slide it on one side and then open it up and place the other side in. Lay it flat and pull it. Don't be afraid to get your zipper pull on. It's so easy once you get used to it. Okay, so now I'm going to go to the other side and open it. I'm going to reach down about 1 inch. I mean about 1/2 inch. And I'm going to grab it and pinch. When I pinch it, it's going to make it curve like that. I'm going to grab a needle and thread and add a couple of stitches just to hold it. You can do this on your sewing machine if you like. I just feel like it's a little bit easier to do it by hand. Personal preference. Okay. Once I'm done, I'm going to trim my zipper down. If there's any pieces sticking out the side so that everything is flush. And then I'm going to burn the edges. And that's just to stop it from unraveling. Okay. So when I make these, I like for my zipper to end before I start stitching. So we're going to be stitching this at 1/4 of an inch. I'm actually going to stitch mine at 1/8 of an inch. I'm not going to lie, because I feel like whenever I stitch at 1/4 of an inch, I go back and I trim it down to 1/8 anyway. So I don't like trimming and all of that. So I always just sew everything at 1/8 of an inch. Do what makes you comfortable. So with that being said, place it right outside of where your seam allowance is going to be. If it's going to be 1/8 of an inch, place it right there. If it's going to be 1/4 of an inch, place it right there. Just place it outside of your seam allowance. And I want the same thing on both sides. So if I'm placing this about right here, I'm going to place it at about 1/4 of an inch, and then my seam allowance is going to be at 1/8 of an inch. Or as close as I can get. When you sew this, you want to use your zipper foot so that you can get as close to everything as you can. All right, and so I'm going to go to the other side, and the same thing. I want this to be about 1/4 of an inch from the end. Actually, I want this to be a little bit more because this side is going to have the zipper tab, and I don't like that bunchiness you get when it's too close to the seam. So I'm actually going to place this one about, maybe about 3/8 of an inch away from the edge. I'm just estimating. Alright, so I think about right there will be good. And then right there. I think that's perfect. So now I'm going to grab my zipper tape. I've placed a little bit of double-sided tape just to kind of help things stay where it is. And I'm looking for the middle. If you want to mark the middle, you can. Long way, I'm just going to guesstimate. The middle looks about right there. About right there. There we go. All right. And now I'm going to take my zipper and I'm just going to place it at that midpoint. You know what? If you want, you can use tape again. You can never use too much tape, right? Just to keep everything where it needs to be. There we go. Now I'm going to place it where the end of my zipper tape is right in the midpoint of this. And fold it over. Give it a squeeze. And yes, I know it's not as long as a zipper, but it's okay because that's just seam allowance anyway. And now we're going to go and add a stitch at 1/8 of an inch along this zipper tab. And I'm saying 1/8 of an inch from the edge that is closer to the zipper tape. Put your zipper foot on. Do it. Oh, I'm horrible about that. I used to always just be like, I'm not doing it. And then I made enough mistakes to be like, you know what? It only takes a second, Ray. Just put the dang on. Zipper tape, zipper foot on. Get over yourself. All right. We've got that attached. Let's go ahead and grab our D-ring connector. All right, so I'm folding it in towards the center. Once I've got it folded towards the center, I'm just going to run my D-ring through the middle. Fold it again. And now I'm going to go and baste this in together. All right. Okay, so let's work on our pocket in the front. So I have a piece of interfacing that I have cut 4 5/8 of an inch long by 2 1/4 inch high. Grab your pocket, and your pocket should be the width of your panel piece, and cut it 6 1/2 inches long, high. Now let me say this. If you want to put your label or something like that on your main panel piece, then you would need to get that added before you added that HTV on the back. So it is an option, but you would need to apply that hardware, whatever you're using, and then I would recommend applying a second layer of interfacing, or waiting to apply your interfacing until after you have your hardware on. No, it needs interfacing before your hardware. So I would do a second layer of interfacing, or maybe foam or something, just to cover up that hardware before adding the HTV on top. So it is possible to do it. You just need to make sure, if you're worried about it, you know, it probably doesn't even matter if you can see the outline of the hardware a little bit, just because this is such a small little thing. I just don't see that being an issue if you can see the outline of the hardware a little bit. But just make sure that you do the hardware before you get the HTV added. With that being said, I'm going to be putting my hardware on my pocket, so that's not something I'm going to be worried about because the inside is going to cover it. All right, so we've got our pocket. I want you to flip it over, and along the bottom, measure 1/2 inch and draw a line. Fold your pocket so that the top meets up with that line at the bottom. And then make a mark at the crease and draw another line. And that's just going to let us know where the placement of everything's going to be. So what I want to do is get this attached, because we're going to be adding that snap, right? And so I want this little piece in the front to have a little bit more sturdiness to it, because you're going to be pulling it open and close. I want a little bit more than just an interface, and I want a stabilizer. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to place this stabilizer 1/8 of an inch down from that line that we just drew. Now, if you have a domestic, that's why I'm putting it 1/8 of an inch down, because you want to keep it out of your seam allowance. I have an industrial, and it's going to sew through this like nothing. So I'm actually going to place mine right on that line, because I'm okay with having it there when I do my top stitch. If you feel like top stitching through this with the stabilizer is too much for your machine, then just scoot it down so that it's not in it, okay? Do what worked for you, baby. Okay, so we're here. Now we want to cover this piece with interfacing. But we want our interfacing to stay out of our seams, because we don't want it to start to get bulky along the sides, right? Or if your computer can handle it, then do it. You know, it's all about what you can handle. So I've cut this. This really should be one piece of interfacing, but I had some strips around, so I'm just going to use my strips. I like to use everything I got. So I'm going to place it like this, okay? You can have the interfacing go all the way up if you want. I don't think I need to, because again, this material is got a nice little, you know, filling to it, and it's the back pocket, so I think it might be a little bit of overkill. I've already interfaced these pieces, so that's what I'm doing. And now I'm going to go and get this interface really quick. Hey, are you still watching? Good. If you haven't already, please take a moment to hit the thumbs up button, and if you want to subscribe, then hey, this is the perfect time. Okay, bye. So now, let's see, where are we at? Oh, I said that I'm going to get my, I'm going to do my label on the front right here. Okay. All right, so this is going to be my pocket. I think I wanted about right there would be cute, right? Yeah, I think that's good. Okay, so I'm just gonna get my ruler out to make sure that everything is good. All right, I went ahead and added a little bit of interfacing to cover up the hardware. Okay, so now we're going to fold it again. Okay, so now we're going to top stitch along here at 1/8 of an inch. Okay, so let's grab our front panel. Actually, we can go ahead and get our little thing added right now. So I placed my hole centered, and then I just placed it so that my snap was going to be right below that top stitch in the front. Hey y'all, this is Rayvon from the future. I came back to tell you don't do what I did. Oh, shoot. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is when it's time to get this snap attached, I'm going to go ahead and punch through this and my main panel at the same time. Because if not, it may wind up being a little bit off and we ain't got time for that, right? So take your pocket and find the midpoint and match it up with the pocket of your, and match it with the midpoint of your main panel. From there, figure out where you want to put your snap. I put mine about, I want to say about 1/4 of an inch down and centered. So just play around and just wherever you feel like you want the placement to be. Once you find the placement, go ahead and punch through both your pocket and your main panel to get your hole. That way you can, everything is in line and it's perfect. Once you've done that, you'll get this attached, and I'll show you later how to attach that. Well, I'll spice this video up because I did it out of order. So we've got that piece in, and now we need our piece that looks like this. We're going to place this piece right over that one. And then this tool, one side has a little point in the middle, the other side is flat. I'm going to just set it on that. And then grab the tool that has the pointed end. Place that point right in the middle. All right, that looks good. Okay, so we have these two pieces, the post and the stud. The piece that is the longest, we're going to run that piece through the underside of the lining. And it's okay that this shows. I'm okay with hardware like that showing. And then we're going to place the smaller piece right on top of that. So the longer piece is sticking up through the back. And now we're placing the shorter piece right on top. Okay? Can you see that? Now we're going to grab this. Now before we used the smooth side, right? Now we're going to flip it over and use the side that has a little bit of a point. And we're going to place it so that the point is going in the middle of that hole. You'll feel it kind of settle in there. Okay, once you've got it in there, you're going to grab the tool that's flat. And you'll see it has a little bit of a kind of a hole at the top. It's the one that has and you're using the edge of the tool that kind of goes in at the top, not the flat end. Okay? And stick that groove right over the top. You'll feel it. And hammer. Oh, that was loud. Okay, so your panel is going to be right side facing up. Your zipper is going to be right side facing down. You should be having your front panel right now because we want it to open to the right and close to the left. Unless you wanted to do the opposite, but. Your zipper should be on the left side if you want it to open to the right, close to the left. Panel right side facing up. Zipper panel right side facing down. I'm going to place this so that it's about 3/8 of an inch from the edge.
Okay, so at this point, you should have your hardware attached. Ignore the fact that I don't.
Now, if you were adding a lining, right now you would grab your lining piece and you would place it right on top of the zipper, right side facing down. And sew it. So it's really easy to modify this. All right, I'm going to unzip this and get this attached at 3/8 of an inch. When you get towards the end, you can go ahead and just close your zipper. Oh my gosh. Y'all, I ran out of... My bobbin is empty. Of course it is. Can I be lazy and use another color? Or should I? Nope, I'm gonna thread some more. All right. Let's get this done. I don't know why I'm so dramatic about changing my bobbin thread. It literally takes like 2 minutes. All right, let's get this attached. When you get to the end, you can just move your zipper out of the way. Do that while your needle is down, not while it's up like I just did. Jeez. And since I am not using a lining, I am going to give a little burn really quick to all of the threads and everything that is showing, just because I don't want any unraveling or anything like that going on. All right, just make it a little prettier. Once we have that attached, we are going to fold it so that our seam allowance is going back and underneath towards the bottom. Okay. And now we're going to add a seam allowance right along here at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. I mean, we're going to add a stitch. You knew what I meant. Now we're going to repeat the same thing to the other side. Grab the back panel. Place it so the zipper is right side facing down. And just line up the sides, and that'll make sure everything stays even. So we're matching the top of the zipper with the top of this, and then we're matching up the sides. All right, and now we're gonna attach this at 3/8 of an inch. Again, I'm gonna do a little burning just to keep everything nice and pretty on the inside. So open it up, just like we did the other side. Fold our seam allowance so that it's going towards the bottom. And let's go and do a top stitch. So now I'm going to grab my pocket. I'm going to make sure I have the front of my pattern, because I want it to open to the right, yep, and close. So this is going to be the front of my bag. Once you've done that, what you can do is snap these together and then find your midpoint. And now you can go and get it basted together at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Okay, and now with the lining or the inside facing up, we're going to go and baste these two pieces together. You want to do it with this part facing up, just in case there's any kind of size difference between that pocket and the front part. We want to stay true to the shape of the actual main panel. All right, so we're basting this on at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Okay, now you can go and trim if there is anything hanging out beyond the main panel. We're trimming down that pocket. Okay, we're almost done, y'all. Found it. Okay, so we're gonna line up the raw edge of this with the raw edge of our panel. Now I like this piece to be really short, so you can line it up there if you like. I'm gonna make mine go a little bit over because, like I said, my seam allowance is gonna be a little bit shy of 1/4 of an inch, and I like it to be right there sticking out, not too much. Personal preference. And I'm putting it right at the top of this. If you don't have a pocket, then you're just gonna measure down about 1/2 of an inch. It's really personal preference. I like mine to be pretty high up, so I think right where the top of this pocket is perfect. And I'm gonna baste this on really quick. Now we're just going to, and you can unzip it if you need to, match up the midpoints of the bottom clamp all the way around. And we want those side pieces to meet up right at the exact points. Okay, and now you're going to sew around the whole thing at 1/4 of an inch seam allowance, or if you want to sew it at, you know, whatever. About 1/4 of an inch to 1/8 of an inch. Now, if you are using a lining at this point, what you would do is separate the lining. So you would have the exterior going this way and the lining going this way. And then you would leave a space at the bottom of your lining for you to turn it through. You can watch my original. I have a YouTube video on how I made this originally with the lining if you want to reference that. Okay, so now we're going to sew this together. Now, it can get a little bulky when you get to where your D-ring is. So if you need to walk it, walk it. I'm raising my foot a little bit higher. If you have a hump jumper, then feel free to get your hump jumper going right there. It will help. I have a walking foot, so it's going to handle this pretty well, but know your machine. Figure it out. And I'm just going to follow that line that I that stitch line that I have from when I basted this together. Now, if you want to go back and sew a second seam right along where you added that D-ring for reinforcement, then that's always a great idea. A little bit of heat because heat never hurt nobody. Okay, friend, this part is done. We're gonna gently, look at that. Isn't that pretty? It's pretty already. You don't gotta have no lining, girl. You don't need no lining, baby. That look good. Okay, so let's gently turn this out. I'm actually going to, if you want to add a stitch around the whole thing, you can. I'm not. I am going to just trim. I'm not trimming where my D-ring was, but I'm trimming everything else too. Trimming everything else down just a little bit. Especially around those curves. Because we want everything to lay really smoothly. Oh, this is stiff. Oh. Between my material and my interfacing and this vinyl, baby, this is something. But we can do it. My God. Whew. This is tougher than I thought it was going to be, I ain't gonna lie. Oh, Lord. My God. Come on, you got it, Ray. That vinyl made a big difference. You know, it's because, like I said, this vinyl wasn't good, and I'm talking about the heat transfer vinyl, wasn't good for me when I was trying to use it to cut because it was so thick, it didn't cut very good. And you can tell the thickness when I'm turning this out. Like, it has really transformed the feel of this vinyl that I used as an exterior. Because this vinyl has a, you know, it has a really good feel on its own, but it was not this stiff at all before adding that heat transfer vinyl. So that's like an interfacing all on its own. My goodness gracious. Look, if you use these two materials together, you better have strong hands, baby. And I do. But yeah, just know that that's something. You know, I probably didn't, with this specific material, I probably didn't need to use that self-fuse if I was going to use this heat transfer vinyl. Because my goodness. Okay. Oh, wow. It's hard, but I like it. I need a tool to get this out because, baby. And then that corner where your zipper end was, go ahead and push that out. It should push out really good. Yep. I love a good clean corner. That looks great. This is cute. Okay, so I'm gonna poke out my corners really good. What do you guys use to push your corners out? Do you have a tool? I always just use my this, but I'm sure there's something better out there. So if you have something that you use for that, I would love for you to comment down below. Share that with me. You know, I am all about using what I have, what's readily available. All my life, I've I've been like MacGyver. No matter what problem I have, I'm going to find a way to solve it. Now, it may not be conventional, and there's probably better ways, but for that moment, it's going to get the job done. All right. That looks great. Okay, and I want to smooth my seams out, so I like to use this tool for that. It's for a key fob, but it works great on smoothing seams out as well. I have this on my Amazon storefront. I'll put a link to that right now. If you're watching on YouTube, you'll see a link. I do receive a small commission for my storefront, so if you follow that link to purchase it, I do want to say I appreciate you supporting my channel that way. Every little bit helps. And just a reminder, if you're finding any value whatsoever in this video, I would love for you to give it a thumbs up for me. And if you want to subscribe, even better. Okay, and I do like to also hammer a little bit on the side. Please use a piece of protective something before you start hammering, because some materials may not be able to handle that. So you want to be careful. I also like to hammer a little bit on the corners, especially when there's a zipper involved. There you go. Again, be careful that you're not going to damage your material. And I'm going to go ahead and hammer this side as well. Where that zipper tab is, you know, you want to make sure that that's not too thick. There we go. Looks good to me. Snap this. Baby, this is sexy. You can't tell me this don't look good. Oh my gosh, I love it so much. Isn't it so cool when you make something and you're just like, I love it. It's like the best feeling. Okay, so we've got all of this done. Looking good so far. We've got our snap, our pocket. Okay, now if you're feeling froggy, I say leap, jump, whatever, however you want to put that. If you're feeling like you just really want to do some extra, then this is what I do sometimes. I will, because we have all that going on the inside and it looks great, but if you look closely, you can see those seams on the side, right? They're in there. I don't know if we're catching it on the camera. My camera's being a little weird today. But right in there, you can see those seams. It's hard to see it, so not really important. Doesn't bother me, but if you don't want those seams to show, then you can do, I think it's called a French seam, where you add a seam right along the edge, and then it will close up and it will hide those seams on the inside. Now, again, know your machine. My machine is an industrial, so it will have no problem adding a stitch like that. Now, my domestic would have been like, yeah, right, you tried it. So just don't do this next step if you feel like it's going to be a problem. But I'm going to go ahead and add that final stitch. I have my zipper foot on, but when I do a top stitch, I like to go back to my my main foot. I don't know why. It just doesn't, that zipper foot doesn't give that really pretty top stitch, right? I mean, I kept it on to make this because it was fine, but when I'm doing something like this at the end and I'm going through a lot of fabric, I just feel like I need to put my regular foot back on to make sure I get that super pretty top stitch really quick. And I'm doing it at 1/8 of an inch, seam allowance. I'm going to reach in and just kind of finger press everything out to the side. Just to, you know, if there's any kind of buckling going on, I want to try to catch it. And then I'm going to pin around. These clamps are not big enough. So I'm going to grab my other ones. Because it's getting kind of... Everything is getting a little bulky at this point. I have these clamps in my Amazon storefront as well. They're really great when you're dealing with a lot of fabric and stuff. When the little clamps are just not quite enough. All right, and I'm going to just add a top stitch at 1/8 of an inch around the entire thing. Back stitching really, really good at the top. I did top stitch a couple of extra times just because there's so much going on. All right. Taking my time around those corners because I want that nice, pretty curve. Okay. Yo. Baby. Oh my God. Tell me that's not dope. Tell me that is not dope. You can't. Tell me this don't look professional as hell. You can take something that's so easy and make it look so good, y'all. Okay, and now that we added that French seam, there are no more seams that can be seen. That's weird to say, right? French seam makes the seams no longer visible to be seen. Yeah, so y'all, look at how good this looks. Like, I'm not even trying to brag, but it looks like so professional, right? It looks like high end. It don't look like I came in here and just started sewing on my machine and made this in 15 minutes. My God. Okay, now I have to make a bag to match this. I was just going to make this as a little carry, but it's so nice. I want to be able to pull it out of a matching bag and be like, bam! What? Ha! Yeah, I made it. I made both. I'm going to put my not Rayvon, it's named after my baby. I'm going to put my Lola tag on the bag so then they can see, you know, my brand, and then I'm going to whip this out. Okay, girl. I don't care. I'm excited. I know I sound like a crazy woman. Okay, so let's make this really quick. It is cut about 13 inches long by 4 inches wide. I made a line down the center long way, and I'm just gonna fold it to the center once, fold it to the center again, and then fold it to meet. Same thing on the end. Fold it, fold it, fold it. And now I'll just repeat the whole thing. I mean, I'll repeat it, you know, to the rest of it. Same thing. And now we're going to sew around the whole thing at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Let me grab my little piece that goes on the end. Before I add that, I'm going to place these together and give it a stitch. If you like, you can add a little glue in there. I think it's fine without it. I don't do that, and I've never had an issue. But if you want it for extra security, it won't hurt. All right, now I'm going to use this tool for what it was actually intended for. Get that attached. All right, y'all, we're done. Just get it attached. These things always like, I'm afraid they're gonna scratch. So I like to pull my D-ring as much as I can to the side that's underneath the material, you know, to get it added. Okay, and now I can put it back over it, just in case it tries to scratch it. Love. And then this comes with a hook, so we can just do that. Perfect. I love it. Okay, let me get some pictures.